Ever get that, like, uneasy feeling, after biting into a juicy burger, and you're like, did I cook this long enough?
Oh, yeah.
We all have those moments, right?
Absolutely.
But what if I told you that even, like, those seemingly safe foods, like bagged salads and those snack crackers everyone loves,
Right.
could be hiding dangers? It's kind of unnerving to think about, but
Yeah.
1 in 6 Americans get food poisoning
Wow.
every year.
It's a lot.
It's a huge number.
Yeah, it's not just about undercooked chicken anymore.
Yeah.
We've seen these outbreaks pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
From romaine lettuce,
Wow.
oysters,
Okay,
even
all right.
goldfish crackers.
No way. Goldfish crackers. I mean, that's enough to make you want to just live on air, right?
Seriously.
But
yeah.
Before we, like, swear off solid food forever,
Right.
let's dive into 2 incredible technologies that could change the food safety game, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Cold plasma
All right.
and high-pressure processing.
Interesting.
But first,
yeah.
we've got to face the, frankly, scary reality of just how widespread these outbreaks are.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is we're seeing these outbreaks in foods that we generally consider safe.
I know, right?
It really highlights how complex this issue is.
Totally. We're talking E. coli, neurovirus, salmonella. Like, they're not just lurking in dodgy takeout anymore.
Nope.
They're in peanut butter,
Oh.
baby formula, you name it.
Wow.
It's like a microbial game of whack-a-mole.
Right, and the number of food recalls is skyrocketing.
It is.
Which tells us 2 things.
Okay.
Our detection methods are getting better,
Got it.
which is good,
Yeah.
but it also points to a genuine increase in contamination.
So why aren't the current methods enough? I mean, we've got heat treatment,
Yeah.
irradiation. Why can't we just, like, nuke these little buggers into oblivion?
Well, those methods have their limits, especially for fresh produce.
That's true.
You can't exactly blast a head of lettuce with intense heat
Right.
without turning it to mush.
Good point. So that's where these new technologies come in, right?
Exactly.
Starting with cold plasma, which honestly sounds kind of like something out of Star Trek.
A little bit.
What exactly is a purple blowtorch?
Yeah.
And does it involve Captain Kirk?
No need to beam up just yet.
Okay.
Think of cold plasma like
Yeah.
a neon sign.
Right.
But instead of lighting up your favorite bar,
Right.
it zaps microbes
Oh, yeah.
without actually cooking your food.
Uh.
It's a charged gas full of reactive molecules that disrupt bacteria.
Yeah.
And it also uses UV light to damage their DNA.
Okay, so it's like a
Yeah.
super targeted attack on these microscopic bad guys.
Exactly.
That's pretty ingenious.
It is.
And it's chemical free, right?
Yes.
You know how everyone's like worried about pesticides and
Uh-huh.
additives these days?
Right.
This seems like a pretty clean solution.
Exactly. It's also water-free,
Really?
which is a big deal in terms of sustainability
Wow.
and potentially inexpensive. Even better.
Which makes it even more appealing.
So this all sounds amazing,
Right.
but what's the catch?
Well-
there's got to be a downside somewhere.
The main hurdle is that it's not FDA approved yet.
Oh, okay.
The research is still in its early stages.
I see.
So it'll be a while before we see cold plasma zapping our groceries at the checkout.
Makes sense. I mean, the FDA doesn't mess around when it comes to food safety.
I don't.
But combining it with other methods like high-intensity light
Yeah,
or even the next technology we're going to discuss
right.
could be a game changer. Right.
Absolutely. Scientists are already exploring ways to combine these different approaches for maximum effectiveness.
Okay, so let's move on to high-pressure processing, or HPP.
Okay.
This one's been around for a while, hasn't it? Surprisingly, the concept of HPP is over a century old,
Wow.
but it's only recently gained traction in the food industry.
Really? What took so long? It seems like a no-brainer if it works.
It's all about the technology catching up with the concept. So how does it work?
Yeah.
Imagine your food getting a deep sea level squeeze, like 6,500 times the pressure we experience right now.
6,500 times.
Yeah.
I bet even the toughest bacteria are screaming uncle
Ah,
under that kind of pressure.
you're not wrong.
So you're saying this extreme pressure can take out these tiny troublemakers
Yeah.
while leaving the food we actually want to eat
Exactly.
totally intact.
That's the beauty of HPP.
I'm interested. Tell me more.
Not only does it neutralize the harmful stuff,
Okay.
but it also preserves the taste, nutrients, and even extends the shelf life of the food.
Wow.
This is especially important for fresh produce,
Right.
which tends to spoil quickly.
Okay, so no more wilted lettuce in the crisper drawer. I like where this is going.
Yeah.
But hold on, you said it's been around for a while, so is this something we're already eating?
You bet. You've probably already had HPP-treated products without even knowing it.
Really?
Think pre-cut fruit, some juices, even that ready-to-go guacamole.
Wow, so it's not some futuristic sci-fi concept. It's already part of our everyday lives.
It is.
That's pretty cool. But I'm curious, if it's so effective and we've had the concept for ages,
Yeah.
why isn't everything treated with HPP?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
One of the main challenges is the cost of the equipment.
Ah, okay.
Setting up an HPP facility is a serious investment,
I see.
which can be a barrier for smaller producers,
Right.
and it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay.
Different types of food require different pressure levels and processing times, so there's a lot of fine-tuning involved.
That makes sense. So it's kind of like finding the sweet spot for each type of food. Too much pressure, and you might end up with fruit puree instead of sliced apples.
Exactly.
I got it.
But that hasn't stopped scientists from pushing the boundaries of what HPP can do.
Yeah.
They're currently exploring its potential for tackling contamination in dry foods like cereals, spices, and nuts. Remember how those goldfish crackers we talked about were recalled?
Yeah.
HPP could potentially prevent
Right.
those kinds of situations.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah,
It seems like these outbreaks are popping up
they are.
in the most unexpected places.
It's true.
And it's not just bacteria we're talking about, right?
No.
Viruses are a major concern, too.
Absolutely. And HPP is particularly effective against viruses.
Right.
You see, viruses are like tiny protein-wrapped packages of genetic material.
Okay.
They're much smaller than bacteria
Right.
and have a different structure, which makes them tricky to eliminate.
Yeah, I see.
But the intense pressure of HPP basically crushes those packages,
Wow.
rendering them harmless.
So it's like taking a sledgehammer to a virus's house.
Pretty much.
No more pesky viruses crashing the party.
Exactly.
But going back to cold plasma for a second,
Sure.
we talk about it not being FDA approved yet.
Right.
What needs to happen before we see it on grocery shelves?
Well, the FDA is super careful when it comes to approving new food processing technologies. They want to make sure it's completely safe for consumers.
Of course.
And that means looking beyond just whether it kills bacteria.
So they're not just looking for like a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Right. Yeah.
They're really scrutinizing this tech.
They want to understand the full picture.
I see.
How does cold plasma interact with different types of food?
Okay.
Does it affect the color, the texture,
Yeah.
the nutritional content?
Right.
Are there any byproducts created that could be harmful?
That makes sense.
It's a rigorous process, but necessary to ensure public health.
Totally. No one wants weird side effects with their dinner.
Exactly.
So it sounds like there's still a lot of research to be done before cold plasma becomes a regular part of our food system.
Yes, but the research is moving forward.
Okay.
Scientists are constantly gathering data and fine-tuning the technology.
That's good.
In the meantime, HPP is already making a significant impact. And remember, these technologies aren't meant to replace basic food safety practices. They enhance them.
Right. It's all about adding layers of protection.
Exactly.
We're not throwing out good old-fashioned hand washing and thorough cooking anytime soon.
Absolutely not.
Think of it like a safety net.
Yeah.
The more layers you have, the stronger it is.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this multi-pronged approach.
Right.
High-tech solutions like HPP and cold plasma
Yeah.
combined with our tried-and-true methods.
Exactly.
But with all this talk about cutting-edge technology, what does this all mean for the average person?
Yeah.
Shopping for groceries.
Right.
Should we be looking for HPP-treated products?
It's certainly something to be aware of.
Okay.
Keep an eye out for those labels, especially if you're concerned about food safety.
Gotcha.
And even though cold plasma isn't commercially available yet,
Yeah.
it has the potential to revolutionize
Okay.
how we think about fresh food.
I mean, imagine a future where produce stays fresh longer, maybe even without refrigeration.
Right.
That could be a game changer
It could.
for reducing food waste.
Yeah.
Not just in our homes, but on a global scale.
Exactly. Reducing spoilage means less food ends up in landfills.
Right.
Which is a win for everyone.
Absolutely.
But beyond that,
Yeah.
it could impact global food distribution.
Wow.
Imagine getting fresh, nutritious food
Uh-huh.
to areas that struggle with access
Right.
due to spoilage.
That's a big problem.
These technologies could be instrumental in combating food insecurity worldwide.
That's incredible. We started this conversation talking about scary food outbreaks.
I know, right?
And now we're talking about solving world hunger? Talk about a plot twist.
It's amazing.
But with all this talk of futuristic food tech,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that sometimes
Yeah.
the simplest solutions are the most effective.
Absolutely.
We can't forget about the basics.
You hit the nail on the head. No matter how advanced our technology becomes,
Yeah.
things like proper hand washing, cooking food thoroughly, and avoiding cross-contamination are essential.
I agree.
It's like building a house.
Okay.
You need a strong foundation, even if you're putting solar panels on the roof.
It's all about a balanced approach.
Exactly.
High-tech and low-tech working together to create a safer food system.
I like that.
But what about other technologies besides HPP and cold plasma? Are there any other promising contenders out there on the horizon?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of exciting research happening right now. Like scientists are looking into things like pulse UV light.
Pulsed UV light?
Yeah, and ozone gas.
Ozone gas.
As potential sanitizers.
Those sound pretty intense.
They are.
Okay.
But in a good way.
Right.
They work on similar principles to cold plasma.
Okay.
Disrupting the DNA.
Uh-huh.
And cellular structures of those pesky microbes.
Right, so it's like a high-tech arms race against
Yeah.
It is.
These constantly evolving pathogens.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing to see how science is tackling these challenges head on.
It really is a fascinating field.
Yeah.
And it highlights how crucial ongoing research and development are
Agree.
to staying ahead of these threats.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From those initial ick moments thinking about foodborne illnesses to these mind-blowing technologies that could revolutionize the way we eat.
I know.
But before we wrap things up, I have to ask, are there any potential downsides
That's a great question.
to these technologies?
And it's important to consider the full picture.
Right.
Like with any powerful technology,
Yeah.
there are always potential challenges.
Of course.
And trade-offs.
Okay.
For example, with HPP.
Yeah.
One consideration is the energy consumption.
That's true.
It's an energy-intensive process.
Right.
So we need to think about its environmental footprint.
Okay.
And with cold plasma, there's the potential for ozone depletion
Right.
if it's not implemented responsibly.
So it's not just about the technology itself,
No.
but also about how we use it.
Exactly.
We need to be mindful of the potential consequences
Yes.
and strive for solutions that are both safe and sustainable.
I agree.
So what can we as individuals do besides, washing our hands and cooking our chicken properly?
Staying informed is a huge part of it.
Okay.
Read those labels. Learn about different food processing technologies.
Yeah.
And ask questions.
Ask questions.
The more we know,
Right.
the better choices we can make for ourselves and our families.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to advocate for change.
Right.
Support companies that prioritize food safety and sustainability.
Yeah.
And let your elected officials know that this is an issue you care about.
It's empowering to know that we're not just
Right.
passive recipients of whatever ends up on our plates.
That's
We have a voice, and we can make a difference.
Absolutely. And it starts with that first step of simply being aware.
It does.
Well, this has been a truly eye-opening,
It has.
deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much.
You did.
And honestly, I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about the future of food.
Me too.
It's not all doom and gloom
Right.
and scary headlines. There's real progress being made.
I'm glad to hear that. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the negative news,
Yeah,
but there are so many brilliant minds working on these challenges.
I agree.
And there's reason to be hopeful.
So what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Remember, this is just the beginning.
Okay.
The field of food safety technology is constantly evolving,
Yeah,
and there are bound to be even more exciting innovations on the horizon.
I'm excited to see it.
Stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
Great advice.
The future of food is in our hands.
That's a great note to end on.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of food safety technology.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
It's been a fascinating journey. And to our listeners, we hope this has sparked your curiosity
Yeah.
and given you a fresh perspective on what's on your plate.
Exactly.
Until next time, stay hungry for knowledge,
Yes.
but eat safely.